Hi everybody. I'd like to welcome you to this drone flight over the Toadstool Hoodoo area in southern Utah, about midway between Kanab and Page in Arizona. I begin the flight here somewhat east of the normal area people go to, so you can kind of see what exists beyond the normal area, which is pretty interesting. Some canyons that are pretty cool. And towards the top left, you see a kind of a rectangular rock structure. That's a good sort of positional reference point if you're in the area, so you kind of know where you're going. So I'm turning towards the west now and heading towards the main area. I'm still east of the main area, but I'm heading towards the main area. And we have this sort of cliff formation, which is actually north of the platform area where people mainly go to. And for whatever reason, I get dive bombed by some birds here. I guess they don't like a drone. There you go. So I get dive bombed quite a bit throughout this video. Anyway, I'm just about now over the main area. And for most people who come to this location, this is really this sort of red platform area right in front of you is really about the only area that people who come here, most of them do, visit anyway. So this is pretty much the only thing that most people come and see. And you can see the main hoodoo formation that kind of is the iconic one is towards the left, and it's be moving out of the frame here in just a few seconds. So that's the main one. We'll come back to that in a minute. But I'm kind of just hovering along just above the top of the cliff face here, so you can get a look at what's above and what you can't see from the ground. So among the advantages a drone has here is you get to see things from a perspective that you can't from the ground, and we'll come back to that more in a little bit. So we're still heading east. Haven't quite gotten to the east edge of the main platform area, but we'll be at the east edge here in just a few seconds. This is a very interesting combination of this white or near white cliff face with very white sediments at the bottom here, and above that the kind of red sandstone formation that are also very soft and fragile. So nearing the west edge, I hope I wasn't saying east, the west edge of the platform area, and you can see the highway, that's US 89, that goes between Page and Kanab. Now I'm turning to look towards the north. And there's some more hoodoos in this direction. And again, most of the people who come here don't happen to go beyond the platform area, so they don't notice these other hoodoos. Additionally, it's kind of difficult to get to these soft soils, soft earth is easily damaged just by walking on it. Huge advantage of using a drone because it is literally zero contact. You know the saying, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints? Well, in some places you don't want to leave footprints. Look at that kind of very veined surface of the white chalky stuff. It almost looks like a Mandelbrot set. All right, turning back north again, and we can get a better look at just coming into view now, another group of hoodoos that again most people are unaware of and don't visit. So that would be at the west edge of the platform area, just beyond it actually. All right, heading back east. almost directly from the direction I took off from. If you see some telephone poles towards the top center, that's pretty much the direction from which I came from. I actually hiked up to a hillside that overlooked it, so I didn't have any problems with signal loss. All right, now flying in to get a closer look at the iconic formation that is the main draw of the site. And I do a nice slow orbit around it so you get a good look at it. Descending down, I'm actually descending down about 170 feet below my takeoff height because the hillside that I took off from was about 170 feet above the platform height. So this is the main iconic formation. We're still on the sort of the shadow side of it, but in a moment we'll be on the sunny side of it. This was early in the morning, so sun being at the east. It's a really cool formation, almost like a tripod there of red sandstone. Yeah, additional hoodoos in the background. We'll look at that a little closer in a moment. This drone, the DJI Phantom 4 Pro, which was released in late November 2016, is really smooth. You can see the smoothness of the video here is, it's pretty impossible to do this by hand. Even ignoring the perspective problem that you can't do from the ground, just the smoothness of it is pretty remarkable. Just about straight ahead of you now is the direction from which most people hike into this area. The parking lot is at the road end of that little canyon area. And it's about half a mile hike, thereabouts. And, it's sort of uneven ground, so it's going to take you 20 minutes, thereabouts, to do the hike. All right, so completing the first orbit and going about half an orbit beyond that, and then we'll look at some more of the area around here. All right, so heading back towards the cliff area, you'll notice the cliff towards the near area of us, there's kind of an alcove just right of that. And currently, because it's early morning, the alcove is in full sun. But later in the day, noon or later, as the sun moves to the south and then to the west, that will be in shade. So if you're coming here later in the day, that would be a good place to grab some shade. And then there's other alcoves that are more useful sort of in the morning time, like the one directly ahead of us. So some more hoodoos are not quite as impressive. If you notice on the cliff face, and we'll get a better look at that in a second, on the cliff face, just coming into view again now, you see almost like a diamond, like brown diamond rock, almost in a setting on the cliff face. These additional hoodoos here, pretty much account for the bulk of the remaining sort of more substantial hoodoos that are available at ground level. But again, one of the advantages of the drone is that you're not limited to ground level. So here I am heading east, and I'll be turning towards the northeast here in a minute, going beyond the normal area where most people go to. And again, we'll be heading there in just a moment. So we're getting towards the edge, the eastern edge of this red sandstone platform area, which is, again, pretty much the limit of where most of the people who come here go, and they don't generally go beyond that. And that's unfortunate, as you'll see here in a moment. So climbing up, and I'll be heading towards this cliff above the cliff here. And again, you can see some additional hoodoos that are not available from ground level and being dive bombed by birds again. I'm sure they must have homes, nests in the cliff face here someplace. So now climbing above the cliff here, and in the background you can see things that most people never even know exists here. And this canyon area that we're heading towards is really cool. So having access to footage like this should make, planning a trip to come here, even if you're doing it on foot, a little bit more useful, as you can see things that, again, most people are unaware of. So this is, again, northeast of the main platform area. And some really cool, almost slot canyon type area in front of you. In fact, it is definitely a slot canyon. So that's about as far as I went. You don't want to go too far. The drone would be able to go another mile or more beyond where I am, but you want to keep it within, eyesight, so you can see where it is and make sure that there are no aircraft or other things around. Center right is that sort of rectangular stone formation I mentioned earlier as kind of a positional reference. Heading back towards the platform area, at the lower left corner you can see the main hoodoo, the main Toadstool Hoodoo, that, the iconic one that gives this place its name. And towards the left is the canyon area heading towards the parking area, the main parking area where most people park to hike to this place. Again, it's about a half a mile hike. And there's a lot more to this area than just the platform area with the hoodoos. And turning around, again, that's that rectangular stone formation I referenced, and still being dive bombed by the birds. Probably just a single bird, but apparently doesn't like drones. And another hoodoo there that, again, you wouldn't see from the ground. Alright, turning back towards the northeast. And now the east. And the road you see in front of you, in that direction, about 30 miles is Page, Arizona. And it's a bit more than 40 miles in the other direction to Kanab. So you can see the hillside to the right with some telephone poles on it, and that's pretty much where, in that area, is where I hiked to. Again, the advantage of a perspective hillside overlooking the place I was planning to fly, so you don't lose your signal. So definitely east of the main area, and another sort of badlands kind of canyon area that most people would never even know exists. I do not know why, when they install these power lines, they happen to almost always choose the most scenic locations to put them. Why do they put eyesores in scenic locations? Never understand that. And that's about the limit of my eastern excursion. So turning back west, more like west-southwest at this point. And almost dead center in the screen is me, the white shirt. That's the hillside I climbed to. This pretty cool meandering little dry wash at the base of the cliff. And that bird is still pissed. Heading back east, and heading almost to the center of the screen is the parking area. And you can see there's 4 cars there. When I drove past just 20 or 30 minutes before, there was no cars there. I'd come by the day before to do this, but there was about a dozen cars, maybe 8 or 10 cars parked there, so I chose not to fly with that many people around. And again, when I flew here, or drove past here on the way to do this day's flight, there was no cars in the parking lot. So my timing must have been pretty darn good, because as you'll notice, there was no people in the field of view at any time in the platform area or anywhere else. So I can barely make out a couple of people leaving the parking area and heading. So there's probably a few more people closer to the platform at this point, maybe even at it by now. So my timing was probably within 5 minutes of hitting it perfectly. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the flight, and I do hope that you appreciated this. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.